And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. I hope everybody's doing well today. Good morning, Bexy Beads, Shrimp Father, KB3D Chris too. Nice to see you. How's it going, my friend? I had to take a minute to grab a cup of coffee before the stream started. Hey, Timor, welcome on in. You'll see I'm wearing a jacket. I forgot that this is that time of year where I have to put the heater on in the evening, and then during the day at some time I might have to turn the AC back on. It was 40 degrees out last night, and so when I got upstairs today it was like 58 degrees up here in the Dragon Den, so trying to get the heat going again and figure I'd put a jacket on. Hey Projects, how are you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We're going to switch things around a little bit this morning. As you guys noticed from the title of this one, we're going to be doing a little bit of work on the Optimus P1 stuff. For those of you that don't know, I have been working on a Optimus P1. It is a 600 by 600 by 1 meter build volume. Well, I'm a little bit tired. My throat's still a little bit scratchy. I really need to get my sleep schedule back to normal. But yeah, just a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, something you know nothing about. So let me... Optimus P1, there we go. Yeah. So let me bring up full display here. So this is basically the Optimus P1. It was created by a company by the name of, or that went by Fabreeko out of Stockholm. It kind of interesting. They no longer seem to be in business or have a storefront, but this is a like early 2000s printer. Let me kick it over to this. Here we go. It's like an early 2000s printer, and once again, it's a 600 by 600 by 1 meter build volume. You had the Optimus P1, which is this unenclosed variant, and then the P1 Pro. Somewhere down here. Pretty modular design. Kind of reminds you a little bit of the way the OrangeStorm Gigag installs, right? Because you've got the sides, the top, some lower connecting sections, your bed. So it's more of just kind of assemble the large pieces in place. The cool thing about this does have an emergency stop button. The version that we have has a chamber heater. It uses precision rails, so it uses MGN 16 high wind rails in X, Y, and Z. So there's 4 for Z, 1 in each corner, 2 for Y, 1 on each side, and then 1 for X. It uses the SFU 1610 ball screws, which is pretty interesting. This is the first printer I've worked on that uses ball screws. And the nice thing is say your bed's up here. As soon as you stop the print and it disables the stepper motors, the bed falls. There's no brakes on the You have Starbucks. I've got my cup, rocking the initial cup of coffee for today, which is our Black Rifle Coffee Company. And Mrs. Dragon is going to be making the Dunkin' run now. So technically, projects, you may hear this a little bit later. If not, let me know when you're back in from resetting that breaker. This is not in the Dragon's Den. So this is down at Ecovate 3D. Treat yourself to a cup of 7 brew yesterday. Nice. Guy I watched on YouTube and made a resin table for Black Rifle. And oh, that would be cool. That would be cool. But yeah, projects. This is down at Ecovate 3D. There was a gentleman in the Raleigh area who runs a print farm. He had it. He was having issues with it. There was, you know, like I said, the company's gone under, so there's no real support for it. He brought it in, said, if you guys can make it work, it's yours, but I just want to reserve the right to be able to use it to do prints. Right? This kind of gives you an idea of how tall this thing is. It literally, it's massive. Like, it looks like a server cabinet, if you've got any idea about that. So the P1 Pro is this enclosed version down here. It did have provisions for a quasi dry box on the side for your filament. This one does not have that one. The side electronics is a little bit different. We've had that on stream before, and I'll show that again here in a little bit. Yeah, so like I said, this is currently down at Ecovate, and I've been working on it. And by I've been working on it, yeah, I've been working on it kind of on the side. I haven't put a ton of effort from a timeline perspective of getting it up and running like tomorrow. But we may be trying to get it done here. So machine weight, 75 kilograms, 130 kilos with the enclosure. Yes, it's heavy. 90 by 155 by 20 centimeters would be the package dimensions when it comes to you, because everything's flat packed. 110 by 90 centimeters by 200 centimeters with the enclosure, so pretty big. The frame is all 6061 aluminum. Power supply is a Meanwell. Yeah, we'll go through the specs real fast, and then I'll bring up the electronics enclosure. 3.5-inch touchscreen, NEMA 17 motors, 1.8 step angle for the X and Y. Dual NEMA 23 2-amp motors for the Z. So the Z is driven by NEMA 23s and that 16 millimeter ball screw. And then the X, the Y, and everything else is run by NEMA 17s. It uses an MKS Gen version 1.4 with a custom Marlin firmware. Good morning, Eagle. How are you? And the custom Marlin firmware, it is custom. It enables, so this printer had options, and one of those options is a standard hot end, and then the other option was a laser. We have made the determination this will never, ever, ever have a laser on it as long as we're touching it. So we being me and several other guys at Ecovate. So we've got some upgrades here that I'll show you here in a little bit. There is an anodized aluminum heat bed This also has the option for a glass build plate. So currently it has a glass build plate on it. We may or may not be able to use that. We may have to take that build plate off. I'll get into why here in a little bit. Yeah, 24 volt, 60 watt heater, standard thermistor. This thing came, so the way I found it, right, was a Volcano. Basically, it's a E3D V6 Volcano nozzle or Volcano heat break with, not heat break. It's basically an E3D V6 with a Volcano nozzle and a 0.4 nozzle size, which means it seems to print very slow and it takes forever to do a print. You've got something large volume here. Yes, 0.4 makes sense if you're doing like a full body render or something like that. If you're doing big parts, a 0.4 is going to take way longer than it should. Hey Eagle, welcome on in, buddy. You're at your bowling regionals right now? Sounds good. Be sure not to leave your phone in the stream up while everybody's trying to bowl. You don't want to distract them. I'm doing a little bit of work on the big boy today, Guru of No. So it also looked like the system or the printer had a thermal runaway event. So we did go through and replace everything. We went with a titanium heat break, a nickel plated copper heat block with a 60 watt heater and a hardened Super Volcano nozzle. We kept it at 0.4 for now because I had one on hand. Okay. The plan, and I will switch over to this view. I'll go ahead and move this off. By the way, this is caught. This is my rig setup by Iconic Fab. So we've got a couple of different Raspberry Pi alternatives. We've got 5 volt on this side and then 24 volt power supplies. The ability to add things. We can run SSRs to do some bed tests and stuff. This is just a good benchtop rig to test things with. The tool head is getting a major upgrade. This is the Bluestorm Terra from Luke's Lab. So this has a LGX Pro extruder and a tube and a beacon probe. This is basically a full-up upgrade. It's about a $700 upgrade tool head setup for the OrangeStorm Gigag. We figured this would be a great idea. You've got the 5015 fans and the fan ducts that you keep from the OrangeStorm Gigag and the tool head board. Everything else here is new. So, and it does not come with a nozzle, but we have options. I've got everything from a 0.8 to a 1.4 millimeter nozzle. So we've got options. This is a standard tube with a 35 millimeter heating cartridge, so a 35 millimeter heat zone. Oh yeah, this is basically, this was perfect for the tube. So the electronics, and you guys may have seen me working on this before. So this is the electronics enclosure. And I'll try and set this sideways some and not get all over the other stuff that's here. Okay, so this is the enclosure. It has dual power cables because once again we've got the chunking power supply and there we go. We've got a chunking power supply and a PTC chamber heater that's at mains voltage. Okay, so we've got dual SSRs down here. One is going for the bed. The other is going for our 110 chamber heater. This uses, once again, an MKS Gen version 1.4. It's really weird. There's one type of stepper driver for the X, a different for the Y. I think the Y is a 2208. Then we've got stepper, like external stepper driver step sticks that fit onto the board that come over here to these drivers. And let me see if I can't pull you guys in a little bit closer. There we go. So pull you in a little bit closer and see if I can't get a little bit more angle here. So the MKS Gen board, we've got one driver for the X, a different driver for the Y, and then we've got these step sticks that come out to these external drivers. These are going in parallel. So this stuff here is the signal step direction, whatnot, from the driver board over here, and then this is the power side of things. An 800 watt 24 volt power supply. We had to completely redo the wiring over here. It did not have these DIN rails. I added the DIN rail and the Wagos. The wiring here was a complete disaster, kind of scary. Let's just say there was some direct to ground connections. Optimus time, video only right now. Okay, water, sounds good. Doing good, Waters. I did not see the giant Wago you printed for your brother, Bexy. It uses all this wiring down here. There's a lot that aren't even connected. That could be for the laser module, but it uses these aviation style connectors. So you plug them in, they only plug in one way, and then you screw them down. We're going to keep these for like the Y-axis, the Z-axis, stuff like that. But anything going to the tool head's getting removed because we're changing the tool head up, and this is just going to use that single XT30 2+2 connector and a CAN bus. Okay. We're also going to get rid of this tiny little 3.5 inch screen and go to something else. We'll see how far we get with the box here, simply because I'm going to do some stuff on the bench first to try and get a basic configuration. I may have to plug this in again to start pulling some parameters from this board, but the plan is to pull this board out, put in a Manta M5P, and redo all the wiring and get it running on Clipper. Might even go Danger Clipper on this or Calico, and we'll move away from this display because this is not a standard DSI style display, and like we really want to go to something like a 10-inch display on this that would be mounted on the side of the printer. But yeah, big printers, big displays, you know, everything big. But the plan for this was to get our board wired into the power. So the way I set this up is we've got the 5-volt power supply, bring in 5-volt to a set of Wagos here, so I could bring power to any of the Raspberry Pi type devices I have here. And then the 24-volt comes to a breakout here that we can use to drive any boards. I can mount the board here, I can mount the board on the back, doesn't really matter. And then we'll be able to set up a mock-up of an XT32 plus 2 over here to get this connected and work on ensuring that the CAN bus is up and we can talk, and then we can get everything set up. It's a storage, oh, is it a storage box for Wagos? Because that would be even better. Today's Chris's 35th birthday. That's awesome. My son, my oldest son, turned 33 yesterday. And I may have forgotten to call him in the haste that was going on yesterday, which is something else we'll get into. And then my brother's birthday is today, and he's turning, math in public, 56. So, yeah. So what we'll probably do, let's see if I can't get this back off the rail, because it was a tight fit. There we go. We'll move this over here to the front edge. And yeah, we'll do it that way. Move these down. So I've got various boards on here. We got a Libre Elect board. This is the Big Tree Tech Pi. This is a CB1 in a Big Tree Tech Pi 4 sled. And then this is the board that we're going to use and transplant into the big printer. And what this will let us do is we'll just run a couple of power wires down to the board. I got to remember if I need to pull a jumper, which I do, that one right there. That was to pull power from 5-volt through the USB. So we'll run some power down here into the board wherever it needs to go. And we'll be able to bring this up on power and start configuring stuff. This board, I'm going to go ahead and have to take it off the mount. So this is a steel mount that I had fabricated from Send Cut Send. This is, was it 1008 cold rolled steel, 1/8 inch plate. We did have these two holes tapped. These two are a little bit larger because they go through the plate and screw into the anodized blue mounting back here. So these two go through and screw into the mount. These go through the mount and screw into the back plate. And then these 4 screws right here are M4 screws, and this is what attaches it to the gantry. So pretty easy, pretty simple. We'll take these 4 screws off so we can get the back plate off, because we may have to be flashing this board. I don't know if it comes pre-flashed or not. And I hope I don't have to disassemble the tool head to get to any like reset and boot buttons, because that would really suck. All right, Eagle, have fun, buddy. That would be kind of hilarious projects. Okay. So, once again, pretty simple mounting plate, nothing major. And this kind of gives you an idea of the mounting of the board and how close and tight it is. And I really hope this thing is pre-flashed and I do not have to reflash it, because I don't even see where the buttons are on the darn thing if I need to push buttons to reflash. Oh. Just found the one. So the one button is about right here where my fingernail is, right behind that plate. I could probably get to it with, you know, one of these and just be like, doop, if need be. Hopefully it's just the one and there's not a boot and reset, because that would suck. But we'll have to do some wiring and stuff. So let me grab some wires so we can wire that up. Preferably some wire that we've already got, so I don't have to make a whole bunch of wires. Probably not going to be enough unless I switch that around. Nope. Nope. That'll work. All right. Got a brown and a blue wire. Brown will be positive, blue will be negative. That should be enough. Notice the world. Spouse unit and her sister are going on their annual girls only antiquing shopping spree. I'll be without adult supervision for 10 days. Watch out, my own version of retail therapy will be at full power. Hey, Timor, I get that. And guess what's going on in the next 10 days? Bamboo sale. There's an Elegoo sale. There's a bunch of filament sales. Like, you're good. You've got retail therapy options. Project in Dad's Garage is running a test print on the Micron to see what breaks this time. It's always something, isn't it? Mild bit of audio while I'm out. It's got to come with at least some kind of pre-flash software on it, because they expect the end user to just bolt them on, right? Correct. The question is, it's got some type of pre-flash CAN bus setup on it. It should be Clipper. What version of Clipper was used? Right, because that's the thing. If it was like a 0.12 flavor, I think I've got 0.13 already on here, which means I would have to reflash it. We're going to need to put a ferrule on at least one side of these. The other side we'll do bare wire into the Wagos. And I need to figure out real fast which power connector to put it in. Okay, so in this particular setup on our big blocks here, the first two on the larger block here in the middle are the heat bed, and then the second two next to the cap is the DC in. Then we've got our two hot ends, and then this would be high voltage if we're going to be running 48 volt to any of the motors. Oh, don't worry, Bexy. You know what this means? You can just get another bamboo at during the Black Friday sale. You just crash your tool head into the bed. Oh, goodness, goodness, goodness. How did you crash the tool head with CNC tap? I'm asking to compare notes as somebody who has crashed the tool head a time or two. Okay, so we're going to need wire strippers. Now we're not doing anything, I'll say, fancy here, so we don't need to really get in here and I was afraid of that. Go with, oh, we're going to be pushing some power, so we need like 18 gauge wire or 16 gauge wire. No, we're not running anything off the board per se. We're just getting stuff set up. So we don't need anything major here. This is a benchtop rig. You're not meant to be running your printer from this. Still change your shuttle. Okay. It's definitely going to be a 0.12. Yeah, probably. And I think this should be on 13 because it would have updated to the latest version. We'll see. Like I said, if we've got to update it, it's no big deal. We get a learning opportunity. All right, one side down. And if anybody was in the Projects and Dad's Garage stream last night, you'll know about some of the other recent news that I haven't made mention of just yet. But Waters and I just booked our flights yesterday for Germany. So we will be going to Frankfurt, Germany for Formnext here in 3 weeks. Mrs. Dragon's staying behind. She was going to go, but at this point, just with the flights and everything and some other stuff that's going on in the background, we decided that she would stay behind at this point in time. But We will be going out there as part of the auto eject team, helping them with their booth. Okay, and on this side of things, we're going to be looking at ground is on the inside and power is, well, ground is on the outside of the connector. Power is on the inside of the connector. Thanks, projects. It's going to be fun. I haven't been back to Germany since we. I was going to say since I rotated back, since I ended my assignment there in 2009. I was out there for 6 years. Hug your British counterpart. I can do that, Bexy. When I see him, I'll do that. Timor Elegoo announced in China the pending release, yes, of the Centauri Carbon 2. That is correct. Looks like the co-pilot style filament handling system. It actually looks a lot like the FlashForge AD5X. And I wish... We did look at this before. The question is can I see any... Yes. So, and if Waters is here, he'll be able to definitely back me up on this point. But this is very similar to the 85X, right? You've got your 4 spools on the right side panel. Your we'll call it an AMS-like unit is over here on the side. Do they show? They do not show a side view. Well, that would be way too much fun. Also, the page has not finished loading. But this unit right here is going to have motors in it, which is nice because it should be good for TPU printing. Right, because the 85X is the same way. Now it should be coming into the side here in a 4-into-1 at the top of the tool head. So 4 inputs into this unit here on the side, 4 coming from this unit, PTFE tubes coming down and do the 4-into-1 just like a A1 or A1 Mini. Night Owl loaded and it's printing, so that's progress. Yes, that is progress. I'm excited about this. I can, just looking at this, they could send a flat pack side panel with your 4 spool holders. These will be the spring-loaded ones that will auto-rewind when it, just like the A1 or the AMS Lite and the 85X. This piece will mount just inside the edge of the top, which will be just like the 85X. And then you'll have this cover that comes over the top that just replaces the top lid. This is most likely going to be an acrylic or something like that. Hey, Waters, sounds good. You're heading into the store, right? But yeah, this, here's a little bit closer picture. It's not a bad setup. Here you go. So you've got your spools, and they'll each come into a separate lane. And then, like I said, this unit here is going to have loading motors, which is nice. You put the filament in, and this is going to bring it down to the tool head where it hits that sensor, and then back it off into the PTFE tube. The nice thing between this setup and the AMS Lite versus the full AMS is it doesn't spool it all the way back to the AMS. It just pulls it out of the tool head into that 4-into-1 coupler, which makes your filament changes a little bit easier, or a little bit quicker as well. You're still going to have poop, but the Centauri Carbon came prepped for it. The big question on everyone's mind is, since they're calling this the Centauri Carbon 2, are they going to fully make it backward compatible with Centauri Carbon? Because if they do not make it backward compatible with the original Centauri Carbon, there's going to be a lot of us that are going to be pissed off because we bought the Centauri Carbon because it said the AMS-like unit is coming. And if they kind of do the bait and switch and be like, no, you got to buy the new one versus using the existing one and with an upgrade path, that's going to be a little annoying. Now, don't get me wrong, I would probably still buy a Centauri Carbon 2, provided it's not like stupid crazy expensive. But yeah, it should be perfectly fine. Everything here seems to be, yeah, the exact same. Other than a different side panel to mount the 4 versus the 1. And then this whole top hat stuff. And that might be a different piece. The scrubber. Excuse me. But I mean, everything else there looks pretty much spot on the same. Different size side cooling fan. HEPA 12 filter. I don't read Chinese, so that's not helping. But yeah, it doesn't look like there's too many differences, minor tweaks. So yeah, the real thing, like I said, is whether or not it's going to be backward compatible. And I'll say it could be considered box turtle-like, though, Timor, because you've got the loading and unloading motors. Well, that's in the box turtle. And you can do a 4-into-1 at the tool head on a box turtle, or you can literally come out of the box turtle with 4 PTFE tubes and do a buffering system or whatever closer to the tool head. That's on you. So concept-wise, execution-wise, it's different. Okay, so we're back over here, Manta M5P. We've got power connected up there. We're also going to need an XT30 CAN bus style cable. The question is do I have one that's not currently in use and not previously cut? a previously cut photographer, displays, yeah, that's the display box. Fans, displays, motors, pies, uniqueness, less uniqueness, not necessarily less, but a little bit. Whoops. Where is, you know, when you organize things, it makes a lot of sense to actually put labels on the containers you use to organize things. Just going to throw that out there. That should work. And now it's starting to get warm up here, so we'll take this back off. So we've got some a few toolhead boards. Like we've got a bunch of Nighthawk SBs. These are the stealth burner boards. Different rev of the stealth burner boards. EBB 2209. There's a Nighthawk 36 that we put on the Rift 600. So it's just got the extra stuff in it. This is another Nighthawk 36. An EBB 36. Basically what I'm looking for is just the cable. So as long as this has the cable in it, which it does, we can just borrow this cable. And I want to borrow this cable rather than one of the Nighthawk cables, because the Nighthawk is USB. I don't know if there's a physical difference in the cable itself, but the nice thing with these is this gives me the XT30 2x2 that'll go at the tool head, and then I've got the CAN bus cable already pre-crimped and wires for the power. Okay, so Sharon P. Barking Cauldron. Hey, how's it going? Welcome in. Welcome in. So, I think what we're going to do is bring this up first, because I can't remember if I did CAN and got CAN bus set up on this or not. So we'll see where we're at on this. And then we'll go ahead and try and get this tool head board talking to it using standard esoterical stuff. So the nice thing with our rig here is we do have a fused power switch on the side. That fused power switch goes into some Wagos down here on the bottom rail that provides our mains power up to our DIN mounted power supplies. These are a bit expensive, the DIN mounted power rails or power bricks, but I think it was worth it to not have a big LRS or UHP sitting over here. It just makes it a little bit cleaner. Okay, and always make sure that your switch is not already in the on position. But we've got power lights over here. We've got power lights coming up on our board. Yeah, and I think I did already give that a name, so let's see if that pops up. No, not that one. Optimus P1.local. Okay, Optimus P1 local is not coming up. Why not? We've got the power. We took out the VUSB. 5 volt, 2424. Fan's going, but that fan's not coming on. I am getting a light here. Bum, 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 bum. This is a CB2. We are running from eMMC. This was working on the bench, running with just a 5 volt power brick. So it should be able to run from the 24 volt. We got the lights to say we should. All right, let's try putty and see if it's just a different issue. Optimus P1 local, 22, open. Now we just got to go see if it picked up a different IP address and the host name I gave it didn't take for whatever reason. Or it could be that it's just not coming up on the network, because that happens occasionally. By the way, if you ever get one, this Lenaro ALIP with a Ecovax name, that right there is the KeyDetect Q2. Threw me for a loop. Yeah, it's not pulling an IP address. Let me go back up here. Why are you not pulling an IP address? I do not know. Hope I didn't squish the wire there. Or it may not be pulling an IP address because I may have just plugged it directly in to Ethernet. So let's see if we can get an Ethernet cable in this general vicinity. I may have just plugged this directly in, so bear with me as I move some things around here to get a shorter path. Because CB1, CB2s are a little bit different. As far as how you get them set up, you're not going to run like the Raspberry Pi imager, boom, there we go, yeah. So looks like I don't have oh, goodness gracious. Yep. It's always fun when you type in the name wrong. Pi. P-I. Eh? All right, what the hell is this one then? Oh boy, this could be fun. Well, this is embarrassing. Is it the BQ? I thought it was root because of the one that I used. And I thought I changed it, and I thought I set up the Pi password. Ruh-roh, George. Well, this may be fun. I may be rebuilding this from the get-go again. Let's try it one more time. P-I, Pi, password, R-A-S-P-B-E-R-R-Y. Oh, Jesus. Apparently, I must have just been a little bit too fast or something. Who knows? Hey, Captain Kern, how's it going? Greetings, greetings, and good morning. Salutations. We are playing with the rig. And if you say, what is the rig? Well, the rig is this. In fact, let me go main bench side here. So the rig is a design by Iconic Fab, and it is this setup right here. So the way I've done mine is I've got my 3 DIN rails, or 4 DIN rails, 2 on one side, 1 on the back, 1 across the bottom. I've got a 5 volt and a 24 volt DIN rail mounted power supply. We've got the power switch on the left. It comes down to Wagos that are on the bottom DIN rail that comes across right here at the bottom of the rig. And then we've got 5 volt, 24 volt right here. So it allows me to run 5 volt to any of my Raspberry Pi type devices, 24 volt to a main board, a toolhead if I mount it on a DIN rail over here. We've got SSRs, so we can run mains up into an SSR to do triggering and test a bunch of things. Yep, it's a bench test rig. So what that allows me to do is, this is the Manta M5P that we have set up. This is going to replace the controller board on the Optimus P1 machine that's down at Ecovate 3D. And the toolhead that we are implementing is the Bluestorm Terra from Luke's Lab. So this uses the OrangeStorm Gigag CAN bus board, the 5015 fans, and the ducts from that toolhead. And then it replaces pretty much everything else. We've got an LGX Pro extruder, a tube hot end, and then a beacon probe for doing the bed probing. It does not come with a nozzle. We've got to make the final decision, but I've got everything from a 0.8 to a 1.4 nozzle on hand that we can put in here. This particular tube has a 35 millimeter supervolcano melt zone heater core in it, so we should be able to push with whatever we want to push as far as filament goes, or nozzle size goes. First things first, we've got this up here. Let's just do a switch our screen or our window back. Whoops, sorry. No. Come back here. There we go. You don't want to see me typing. We'll do let's check and do an update and upgrade. Always good to do. Dragon Stream Deck when? We've got a Stream Deck. So I've got one of these, and I have one that I did build that uses a RPi 2040 as a controller for it. But yes, you should build me a custom one. That would be cool. So yes, like I said, me and Waters will be going to Formnext in a couple of weeks. We're going out there to support the automated team with the auto eject. They do have a new version that they are going to be showing, at least video wise, showing off. It's a 1.5 meter slider, so putting that in carry-on luggage is not going to be too easy. You tell your crowd I'll get a Stream Deck when they buy it. Yeah, there you go, Captain Kern. All right, so we did the update. Let's do the upgrade. It's just always good to do that. These are the Linux system files, so this isn't going to impact your clipper or anything like that. But it's always good to do because these are full Linux devices, and you want to keep everything up to date and secure, right? Well, there is an option to fly direct, Bexy, and we are flying direct via Iceland Air, via Keflavik, Iceland, and a plane change, meaning we have a layover. It's not direct. Yes, if we're flying Sunday, we're flying out Sunday, we're coming back Sunday. If we wanted to come back, say, Saturday, it was twice the price. So we bit the bullet. We're going to stay in Germany an extra day. we may be sleeping in the airport, but, you know. I know Waters has done worse. He slept in the back of a pickup truck for a 30-hour ride, so. Yeah, Saturday is definitely expensive, so I've got to go and change my, I got to go change my days off at work and just add a couple on the end, because there's no way I'm going to do a 10-plus hour flight with a layover in Keflavik, Iceland, and go back to work the next morning. So. Uh-oh, Georgia's going to be there? That's dangerous. Hey, thanks for the follow. We're just going to go with SS1. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. So we are sitting down here. We've got our board over here on our test rig. This allows us to get everything going and prepped as much as we can on the bench. The printer that this is going in is sitting down. Gohan works too. Okay, Gohan. This is going to get put into the Optimus P1, which is a 600 by 600 by 1 meter build volume. So moving that printer around is not very easy. So it's going to stay where it's at Ecovate. We're going to work as much as we can on the bench to get this set up. Then we'll do another stream down at Ecovate where we're plugging everything in and trying to get everything moving. So we just came in here and upgraded the base software. We're going to leave this open in case we need to do any software installs or anything like that. And you will see this is a very, very simple setup right now. We have a printer config, which is a stub and has nothing in it. That's it. Not a thing. Not even the UUID or proper serial ID to connect to it, right? Heavy breathing intensifies. But I will tell you, this is something I've started doing, is just creating a file in here for the CAN bus UUID. So I did install CAN bus on the Big Tree Tech Manta M5P. I do have its CAN bus UUID. So that part's set up. Now what we need to do is we'll have to get everything wired up and connected so that we can test out connectivity to the toolhead. Shouldn't be that hard to do. Whether or not we can talk to it. How do we do that normally? Well, we're going to use Esoterical's instructions. But kind of first, what we need to do, since we have 0 in the way of a Clipper config at this point, we're going to come over here to the Manta M5P directory, go into firmware. So this is Big Tree Tech's GitHub site. We're going to go into firmware. There we go. For Clipper. Okay, here's the generic config here, and there's for the USB if you're not going to go through and re-image it yourself. I'm just going to take this file here, and this is going to give me an initial thing to start from. We're just doing a copy paste routine here. I kind of organize my files a little bit differently. They do all the XYZ stepper stuff, and then they come in and do the Oh, where is it? Here, like the TMC configs, I kind of put them all up at the same spot. So we'll work on reorganizing this here in a little bit. No, I can't do that. I would lose my ever-loving mind. I would lose my ever-loving mind. All right, so there's the MCU and the printer. We'll cut that out. MCU printer. Do we have anything else currently turned on that we can steal? No, we don't. Hello, Mrs. Dragon. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am great. Yes. Give me the heavy one there. We'll put that over there and coffee run. Dragon runs on Duncan. There you go. Hold on. Say hi, Mrs. Dragon.
Hi.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, I'm like sitting a little low or something. Camera, that or the camera is a little high.
See if Liz noticed that I was wearing a shirt.
I don't know if Liz is on here at the moment. Is Liz on here? I don't think I see Liz. But there we go. Okay, we'll come back to this one. So this is the motion section. This is just me making sure that I have stuff kind of in line where I need it. We're using TMC 2209, so I just need to grab these things here. X. Y. Probably leave the diag pin commented out since we've got physical end stops in play. Z, were we running? Trying to remember Waters. Did that have? That does have two. I'm like sitting here asking you, hey Waters, does that have two Z's? And I'm like literally, it's sitting right behind me. So it's kind of one of those, hey, I'm an idiot. All right, so these are set for 2 amps. Yeah, I probably do need to set that there. So these are 2 amp motors. I think we're going to set these up for like 1.5 for right now. Run current on these 8s should be good. So the X motor is a single motor to a single stepper. Y motor is two physical motors running off of a single stepper. It's a Y cable. And then the Z is two separate Zs. So in this case, we'll have motor 1, motor 2, motor 3, motor 4 will be another Z. And I'm going to double check that with the existing wiring setup. And no, Z is in parallel as well. So Z is from a single stepper motor, and then the extruder currently plugs into one of the steppers, and we won't need that anymore because we're going to use the toolhead board. So cool. And I'm going to leave this blanked for the time being. Extruder 1 will come down and grab this. What I wanted to do. Still not what I wanted to do. Hey Zombie, how's it going? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. You just missed Miss Dragon. She's sneaking in for bringing me my Dunkin' run. Thank you for the 25 months subscribe in a row. That is awesome. Yes, what we've got here, Zombie, is our test rig. This is the iconic Fab the rig. We've got a 5-volt and a 24-volt power supply that are den rail mounted back here. And we're just bringing that 5-volt and 24-volt up to some Wagos that we can, share out. And then we've got 3 different Pi derivatives. We've got a Libra Elect, a straight up Pi version 1.3 or 1.2. This is the Big Tree Tech Pi 1.2, and then a Big Tree Tech Pi 4 sled with a CB1. And then right here we've got the Manta M5P that we pulled out of, I was going to say, was it the, this came out of one of the 0Gs maybe? Anyhow, we're going to use X and Y, and then Z is not going to be a TMC 2209. This is going to get pulled out, and there's going to be a step stick put in that we can route it out to standard or external stepper drivers, and this driver won't be used at all. So we only basically need X, Y, and then Z to send, step, dir, enable, so forth. Oh yes, yes, we did get donuts. What kind of donuts? That's the question. So we got donut holes. Looks like probably some pumpkin, chocolate glazed, and then whatever the ones are. It looks like chocolate glazed that has sprinkles all over them. One of the holiday ones. And Bexy, I did get one of the spider donuts, which is pretty cool because it's a standard donut that has purple icing, and then right in the middle has a a chocolate donut hole, and then they do the legs out from it. Yeah, the spider donut, it's kind of cool, but it's, I don't know, something with the icing, it was like way icky sweet or something. So we'll have the heater bed, our fans. We'll have a couple of different fans set up here. The nice thing about all of our toolhead fans, so on this board we've got fan 1, fan 0, a Raspberry Pi fan, and then an always on fan. And looking at the Raspberry Pi fan, it seems to be a 24 volt fan, so that's what I've got here set up, is a 24 volt fan. Because it says VBB, which implies whatever you're providing into the board is what's going to come through this fan. The fan 0 and fan 1 are power selectable. The Raspberry Pi and the always on fan are straight VBB. So 12 or 24 volt, whatever you're putting into the board. Yeah, they do look pretty cute. Yeah, they don't look, the color of the purple on the frosting does not look like the image. It is way more washed out and lighter. Hey Killa, how's it going? We're doing some benchtop stuff today. We've got our test rig out here, our bench rig. This is by Iconic Fab. You can get this off of printables. I've got 2 DIN rails on the front, 1 on the back, 1 on the bottom that has the mains voltage is on the bottom, so it comes out of the switch into the Wagos up to the 2 power supplies. This is a 5 volt and a 24 volt Meanwell DIN rail mounted, a bit more expensive, but nicer package for a bench rig, right? And I'm coming out of there into a 5 volt and 24 volt rail Wago set that I can then plug things in so we can test Raspberry Pi or SBC alternatives, boards. I've got a couple of SSRs up here if we wanted to run mains voltage and test out a bed. I've got the ability to design them out and put like a full hot end up there or something. So it's kind of pretty cool. And especially in something like this. So what we're working on today is the electronics for the Optimus P1 Pro. And we're trying to get a new board set up. In this case, it's going to be a Manta M5P talking CAN bus to a Bluestorm Terra toolhead. So this is the Luke's Lab tube upgrade for the OrangeStorm Gigag. The only thing it uses from an OrangeStorm Gigag is the 2 5015 fans, the ducts, and the CAN bus board. Everything else on here is brand new. It's the LGX Pro extruder, a tube hot end, and a beacon probe for probing. So we're going to try and get all of this stuff talking to one another, and then we'll go through and get the electronics mated back up to the printer. And the electronics, we looked at this before when we cleaned up the electronics, but this is a current electronics for this printer, right? 800 watt, 24 volt power supply. We've got external CNC style stepper motors for the Z. The Z axis on this is dual NEMA 23s with 16 millimeter ball screws. It uses an MKS Gen 1.4 running a custom Marlin. So that's what we're going to be replacing is that board. It also has provisions for a chamber heater and fully enclosure, chamber heater, the whole 9 yards. So we're just going to try and rebrain this, move it up to Clipper, put a decent hot end on it rather than just a 0.4 nozzle on a super volcano. you know, when the print volume's 600 by 600 by 1000, doing a 0.4 nozzle is kind of you know, kind of takes forever to do anything. So, ooh, you guys got Krispy Kreme over there? Holy crap, I did not know that. Yeah. It won't be too hard to access, but I can't move the printer very easily. Right? They do not have double doors. They had to half disassemble the, actually, I think they disassembled the entire enclosure to be able to barely squeeze and tilt and everything. Like, you know, like college dudes moving a couch, you know, up a tight stairwell is kind of the thing that they had to do to get it into the door of the shop. So it's easier to be able to pull that electronics off, do as much as we can on the bench, go and mate it back up, and then tweak it from there. So we're not standing in the middle of the store doing all the tweaking and this type of stuff, because it's every time I go to work on that machine in the store, anybody that comes in the store immediately comes over and start asking questions. Because I mean, it's a magnet. Let's be honest. Anytime you see a full-size cabinet printer, people are going to come and start asking. You're going to finish up the Triumph CNC gantry today. There you go, Zombie. I need to get started on mine. I need to cut those rails and get them re-drilled for the Ender 3NG. And then we've got the Trident upgrades. And I think I'm going to hold off on the Stealth Changer, hoping that some other things that are working in the background happen. If they do, you will see a new studio behind me. Well, too bad that I won't see you in Frankfurt, Bexy Beans, because I would bring you a spool. Because I still have 2 spools of neon yellow. I need you to send me your address so I can ship you stuff. Okay, so right now all we're doing is just getting the basic config here. We're going to have to do a lot of changes. 2209, 2130, we're not doing that. Board pins, this would be miscellaneous stuff. So the board pins, BL Touch proximity switch, NeoPixel, ADXL. ADXL is normally at the top. We can leave it here. A lot of this stuff won't get used off of this board because the beacon's got the ADXL that we can use to do input shaping and stuff. I do not plan on blinging this out with NeoPixels, so we might add some NeoPixels just for lighting in the case or in the enclosure. We will not be using a BL Touch going forward, and the proc switch, nope. Yeah, that's fine, leaving that stuff that way. Heater better be okay. I'm gonna have to look at some of this stuff. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at some of this stuff. Fan for sock. This will be one that we need to undo. Let's actually use backspace. Now we can use that and that. So we're using the CB1. Actually, it's a CB2. That's weird. So looking at the pinout, the Pi fan is GPIO 26. Pi fan's right here. So it says 26 if you're running a Raspberry Pi, 79 if you're running a CB1. We'll try and leave it at the 79 for now because we've got a CB2 on here. So hopefully it's the same thing, that pin out there. And I may have to do my trick of throwing thermistors on here just so it picks that up and doesn't do its little wig out thing. They got very, very basic stuff in there, which is fine for now. Unknown pin for chip name CB1. Oh, I know. I know you can't afford to go. I'm going because Automated is footing the bill for the flight and the accommodations. And of course, giving me a ticket to the event because we'll be working their booth, which will be nice because that gives me an opportunity to, oh, there we go, because it calls out a CB1. Why would you call out? Oh, that's right. So we've got to set the CB1 up as a Clipper MCU as well. That's right. Okay, and what I'm going to do real fast is turn one of these on so I can steal some syntax from them in a little bit. Meanwhile, let's take a look at some of the Giga toolhead information here by Luke's lab. So the OrangeStorm Gigag to Bluestorm Terra conversion kit. They've got a GitHub and a store page here. So we'll open up the GitHub and we'll open up the store page. GitHub shows some various things. So there will be bed studs to hard mount your bed rather than using springs. A camera update, toolhead information. So this is everything that basically Luke's Lab started prototyping for Joel Telling's OrangeStorm Gigag to get it up and running, right? They replaced the controller for it with a Big Tree Tech Kraken and a Pi 4. As you said, it's entirely unnecessary, but you know, because of the advent of the Open Giga firmware, so you can reflash the existing controller with no problem. You need only four drivers on your board and CAN bus if you want to go with anything else. So, you know, you can run 5160s for X and Y, 2 for Z. That's basically what we could do is we could run this whole entire setup 24 volt to the board and then 48 volt to all the drivers, which is something that I have been thinking about. So that is something that is a possibility down the road, is to swap out and do kind of what I did for the 0G downstairs that I took to 3D Printopia and run like a UHP 350 48 volt. I just got to double check. I might have to go up to the next higher size with running all of the motors at 48 volt. I just got to check the amperage we're going to be running them at. And then, yeah, this will also include various other upgrades that he did to that machine. To give you an idea of the Elegoo Giga toolhead, this is not an inexpensive toolhead to integrate into the system, but it's also a very, very, very good toolhead setup, especially if you throw in there a, like a 1 millimeter or higher nozzle, or you can go like kit includes. So it looks like the new kit includes a 6 millimeter gamma or a 0.6 millimeter Gamma Master nozzle. So that would be cool for whatever reason. No, ours did come with a nozzle. I just didn't want to go with the small nozzle because I think he either got a 0.4 or 0.6 with it. And I wanted to go with something a little bit bigger, so we can get some fat layer lines and do some big prints. We will have the ability to swap back over to something smaller if they want to do like a full bust or something like that. But if you're doing like furniture pieces and chairs and stuff like that, fat layer lines is the way to go. It's going to be so much easier to do that. So yeah. So, whoops. Here's the main instructions. What is it trying to do? Enhance performance, improve reliability. The nice thing with going to a tube is if you blob-a-death it, okay? If you blob-a-death it, you can torch the whole thing, and at most you're replacing the heater and thermistor. Everything else, like literally at the show on the Tube Compact, he told me pull the nozzle and ram a rod from the nozzle side up to pop out the plug that I had in the cold side of it, because in my case I had a improperly cut length of PTFE tube going into the top, so I was getting jams at the top of the hot end with the retracts. So it's a full titanium heat throat for chalice. So you can run a no clogger from the top or the bottom, and you're not going to have an issue. Hey Liz, welcome on in. Welcome on in. We've pretty much got the physical install going. We need to do the software and firmware setup, which I've already opened that, and then there's a post configuration. So this assumes that you're using an Elegoo, right? So once again, this assumes you're using an Elegoo. So we're going to have to do a little machinations back and forth to get this fully done. You'll need to root the firmware. We don't need that. And in essence, we've rooted because we're using a base install of Clipper. So we don't need to root things. We do need to install the Beacon software. So we'll grab the Beacon docs over here and work on getting this stuff installed. We've got Beacon mounted on the toolhead. Once again, this is the toolhead we're installing. So we've got the Bondtech LGX Pro, we've got the tube, we've got the Beacon, everything's set in place. We're ready to go. We're just trying to get the software installed. Attack hug to Pezliz. Hey, Pezliz. you miss Mrs. Dragon. She brought me my Dunkin' Run, and she is wearing a Pez Liz shirt. Bum, bum, bum. Custom out, custom out. It does come with the 5-meter USB cable, so we'll install that when we route everything else. Install the beacon module. That's what we want to do. So we'll grab that right there. We'll come back over to our putty session, which hopefully is still active. We'll paste that in there, and we'll hit enter and let it do its thing of downloading and installing the base software. Oh yeah, this should install Numpy, which is going to take a while because I don't believe it was installed before. We do need to make some changes to the system. It says we can do this while it's installing Numpy, so we need to add some stuff to our update manager, not update manager, but Moonraker. So we'll copy this. We'll come over to our printer config. We'll go into Moonraker. We'll just scroll down to the bottom and add that information. Save and restart. Okay. Configure Calico or Clipper for Beacon. Here's a question for you all. Right now we have Clipper installed. Do we want to stay with Clipper or go with Calico? Because I have never installed Calico and used Calico. Yet another cold side jam on the Micron because the stupid fan shifts in the ant head and stops. The fan shifts in the ant head and stops. So you're getting a heat creep issue in the cold side. Is the fan? Trying to remember back. So the hot end fan is just a kind of a press fit into the tool head. It's not screwed in any way, shape, or form. I'm trying to remember to the build of the ant head. But that does suck. You have no idea, but you're saying yes to join in. Thanks, Bexy. And zombie or projects. What is the width difference between the ant head and the dragon burner? Because I know you're a proponent of the dragon burner projects, and my intent is to go with ant head on the stealth changer. One, because it's it was a simple path based on the LDO documentation, but two, it will allow me to definitely get 4, possibly 5 tool heads on my changer. But each tool head's a little bit different side to side, and I just don't know what the differences are. So that's good. And yes, I do have 13 on this board already. There's an update for it. Update for Moonraker. Yeah, let's do that. Why not? So Dragon Burner is actually a millimeter slimmer. So how soon before you throw Dragon Burner on your Micron? Yeah, where are we at here? Hey, look, Numpy installed. Awesome. So that's done. No errors. Yep, no errors. Good. We need to configure the beacon software. And by configure the beacon software, I mean we just need to slap this in there. Normally it would go where our probing section is. And we don't have any type of probing or you should need to do oh, what is this section normally called? Probing and bed mesh. That'll be something else for it to complain about. Update the offset values. Be sure to update the X and Y offset values. We will. We will need a safe home set up. So we'll grab the safe homing section here and add that in there as well. And once again, this is a 600 by 600. So we're going to go basically 300. Whoops. By 300. All right, 600 by 600. Yeah, 300 by 300 be the center of the bed. We'll grab the X and Y offset from the other instructions right over here. The X and Y offset is 0 for X and negative 3029 in Y. So X offset is 0. Y offset is negative 3029. So, nope, let's not do that. Set per LMI, so this is something that I highly, highly suggest is when you make changes to a baseline config, put in the date that you made the change, put in why you made the change, and put in something like your initials. Because if you get a really, really long config, all you have to do is do a search, so an Alt F, and search for your initials or whatever key that you put in. And that will help you just scroll quickly through the changes that you've made so that you can identify those changes easier, right? Your Z configuration may need to be updated for the beacon homing, so we'll need to add the in-stop probe and the homing retract distance. So the end stop pin will get commented out. Put that down on the next line. And that's good. There we go. We got that change documented as well. This is all baseline config, so there's nothing really here. All we were doing is moving stuff around. Anything else that we need to do? There was a probe section, but that probe section was commented out. It was down here in the miscellaneous. So BL touch was commented out, and proximity switch, or AKA probe, was commented out. So we're still good. We will need a bed mesh config set up. If we don't have one, it will cause an issue. So we'll need to add a bed mesh config. And this is where I kind of cheat some. We're going to go grab some syntax from Fabreeko, provide it comes up. She's been sleeping for a bit and maybe a little mad at me because I keep telling her we're going to upgrade her soon. And she's like, really? You haven't? Okay, so I am going to grab this type of stuff up here. I like adding this section in here because this gives us an idea of how things are configured just by looking at the config. This is a Big Tree Tech Manta M5P with TMC 2209 for X and Y. Once again, that's all we need is X and Y drivers on here. Z is going to have a breakout that will go over to the external drivers, and the Bluestorm Terra toolhead. With CAN bus. Physical end stops on X and Y, that is correct. Beacon for probing and input shaper. And there is a silicone heater for the bed. It's not a Canovo, but I will have to update that information at a later time. We'll go ahead and save these changes that we made so far. You're going to smash the end head on stream? Yes. I can see you doing that just because of the pain it's been giving you. We're going to grab this type of information because our MCU, we're not going to be doing serial. We are going to have a CAN bus UUID. We'll save this for right now. We'll back out of that. We'll grab our CAN bus UUID from over here. So there's the CAN bus UUID for the Manta M5P. Okay. We'll need another one for the toolhead board, but we'll see how they want us to do that when we get there. There's a bunch of other stuff that we'll need to add here. So let me grab this. We'll probably need an include section. So this is the virtual SD card. Exclude object. This will allow us to exclude an object provided you've also sliced as a per object slice. Display status, pause, resume. The respond is the default type of response for an MCU. And the force move allows us to force movement if needed. Include section, main cell, yes, macros, probably, adaptive mesh, line purge. I think we still need line purge. Adaptive mesh we won't need because we're going to do it in the new version of Clipper now. Nozzle scrub, self printer LEDs definitely won't need. We won't need those things. Nozzle scrub, we may need that at some point because it should be doing nozzle probing with the beacon. Fingers crossed, maybe. If not, we'll just do standard. That's perfectly fine. Kinematic section will be the printer config. This is a Cartesian. Let me rephrase that. Restate that. This is a Cartesian printer. We'll leave that as motion section, but we'll make it all caps just because. XYZ, extruder. We have bed heater and thermal down here, or heat bed and thermal management. That'll be our heater bed, fans, stuff like that. We will grab some of this stuff, sensor type, sensor pin, we'll leave alone. We'll grab this type of stuff. This is a beefy mains heater, and heater pin. It is a mains power, so you want to have that PWM cycle time in there to keep any lights from flickering, especially LEDs. Heater pin, sensor pin. Yep, we will have to have a PID section in there or it will complain. Well, that was good. So for now, we will just throw some dummy numbers in there. We'll have to do a PID on it once we get there. I'd rather do the clipper PID process than take what we have in Marlin and pull it over. Probe section. That stuff will change for the, whatchamacallit, for the beacon. Fan control. We'll grab that stuff. Why not? Heater fan, fan 1. Sure, why not? Once again, this is going to be on the tool head, but I'm just trying to get a stubbed config in here so that it can work. Controller fan, exhaust fan. We'll grab the temp. We'll grab this stuff for the sock fan. Except this is going to be that's going to be different. We're going to call that oh, that's going to go basically like one of the controller fans, isn't it? I'll have to look at that one. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. This will be CB2 for the heater. This will be Manta M5P. We'll do a quick save. Following gantry adjustment. Sorry, folks. I know this is boring watching me type all this stuff out sometimes, but we're just trying to get things set up. We will need this. Idle timeout, beacon probe, safe Z home. We will need a bed mesh. We could potentially do a Z tilt adjust. However, this, because it drops all the way down to the bottom, by default, it should be at the same point on the ball screws every single time, right? So we may not have to do a Z tilt adjust on this. We will grab this bed mesh section just for giggles. We'll probably ramp up the speed. Now we'll have to grab some beacon mesh stuff, I think. This is a Rev H, so we'll grab this information. Accelerometer I normally put up here under the kinematic section. Never boring? Well, thank you, Bexy. Oops. Test resonance, measure access noise. And it would be on to calibrate clipper, which we cannot do because we do not have an actual machine. So we'll have to work on that stuff when we get there. And the bed mesh is min and max. We'll say 20 to 580. Or wait, no, min, 20 and 20, that's fine. Max is gonna be 580. So 600 by 600 bed, we're doing bed meshing using the beacon, so it's gonna go fast regardless. So we can literally do something like 100 by 100. And we'll look at the bed meshing here. I'll have to look at one of my other beacon setups. Beacon or cartographer, either one. Okay, so we basically have the beacon done. Wow, he's going up to 200 by 200. That's crazy. I mean, we can do a bigger mesh. It wouldn't matter. Like we could literally do. Guess like 300 by 300. Give us a 2 millimeter cell. Few things that we need to directly edit. Clipper reads the configuration literally or linearly. This means that many of the things we need to change can simply be added to a file that we'll include at the end of the printer config. And then we'll just have to add include override settings. So he's got a link here to override settings, I believe. And let's just see what this is. So this is a print start stepper Z, which adds the information there that we've already done. The bed mesh, so speed is 400. Horizontal move is 5, which means it's going to do it 5 millimeters off the bed. And then (16x16) Z tilt, speed 400. Nobody wants to wait. Okay, so we'll probably throw a Z tilt in there as well then. But the big thing is changing the speed under the bed mesh to 400. The bed mesh speed, go to 400. We should be able to make it sing, that's fine. Horizontal move Z was 5, yes. Mesh min was 16 to 16. Okay, that should be fine. Max will be just shy of the full max. You know, we're fine there. We'll go back to 20x20. We'll have to look at the Z tilt stuff because we probably should. Does anybody know, does the OrangeStorm Gigag, does it use lead screws or does it use ball screws? I don't know off the top of my head. And like I said, I'm not sure if we'll need it, so I'll go ahead and comment it out for right now. Comment out the end stop position. We did that. Comment out end stop pin and end stop position if populated. Why would you do that? In stepper Z1. Okay, you would do that because you're going to use the beacon probe. In our case, on the other one, it would have been the BL Touch in the existing Marlin config. And then comment out or delete the entire probe section. We've done that. Toolhead. This is the information we're going to need. Use the LGX Pro settings for rotation distance, already done below. These settings are off of our Giga here. These settings are found in MCU THR1.CFG and just replace all of the sections. So this is pulling the information for the extruder for the toolhead board. So we have two ways of doing this. We can either do, how are they doing this? So we can do this as a separate file, or we could do this integrated into the, just copy and paste this into the basic config. What we're going to do is we're just going to copy all this stuff. We'll come into our basic config, and for the extruder, so this is the baseline information for the extruder that comes in the guide, or in the base firmware. So I'm just going to comment that out. We'll add in these sections for the extruder, which is exactly from his guide. Now it's going to complain because there's an MCU1 section here, and there's no MCU1 yet. That's going to be the OrangeStorm Gigag toolhead. I'm just looking through here. Okay, so verify heater section is added for this reason. So one thing that we'll need is actually we'll just grab this whole thing. It's going to be MCU1. It's the Bluestorm Terra toolhead board. We'll have to grab a CAN bus ID for that. And that will come next. What we're going to need to do is do some wiring to get things plugged in. And I'm going to need to modify. I just realized that. Why did that go to sleep? Okay, did not notice that that went to sleep. Here's our CAN bus, and here is our cables for the toolhead power. There's no way that we're going to be able to get this up to here and then this over to the CAN bus here. So we're going to need to either extend these wires out somehow, or just cut the sheathing back and make our cables a little bit easier and longer to work with. So that is probably the easiest thing to do. Snip this connector off. We'll go ahead and strip this some more. Actually, we'll just cut it short right there. We'll strip this back some more so that we can break out our cable easier. And we'll modify and make this cable work for our needs. Yep, and no worries. These cables are plenty long anyhow, so don't worry about me going through and cutting these things. So one thing that I can do, rather than continue to make these even longer, bigger, exposed, is I could just make another Wago one-to-one jumper here for the power and be able to plug that in. That way we're not really extending it out, but this is just not enough to do that Wago to Wago connection. So I think that's what we'll do. And I think these look like they're, yeah, they glued the crimps in there. I don't know if you can tell that. Come on, focus. You can see the shiny there. They glued those in. That's nice of them. Hey, Evil Diesel, how's it going? Get the cable stretcher. Yep, that's what we're going to do. Let me grab some Wagos. I do have some singles, just one-to-ones. That'll work fine. One-to-ones, we'll just need some short or shorter cables, preferably ones that already have some ends on them, because that just makes life so much easier. Yeah, that'll work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some ends that are already got the whatchamacallits on them already. We'll slap that in. Slap this one in, and before I do anything else stupid, we're going to save that. So I'm going to save this config for now. We'll close that. We're going to power this down. And we're going to power off the rig. We're going to wait for all of our lights to go off. That tells us that everything is dissipated out. Meanwhile, I'll go ahead and strip and crimp these sides. How's it going, Diesel? So I know this isn't full public knowledge for everybody yet, but we are, we being me, Mrs. Dragon, with the company and Evil Diesel, we're looking at some spaces right now. We're trying to go through the process to get our own space set up. So that would be where I was making the hint before of possibly having a new backdrop soon. And I should probably double check the CAN bus here that it's in the right layout. M5P, CAN bus, high on the right, low on the left. Yep. So in this case, high is our yellow, low is the green. Sun high, grass low. So yeah, that's what's been taking up a lot of time and why I haven't been working on things like the Ender 3 NG, and I'm trying to finish out some other projects right now. is because we're getting ready to go through a time where we won't have a lot of free time. And that free time is going to be used doing various other things. Like cleaning and moving things and setting things up and all that goodness. And of course, things are not moving as fast as we would want them to, but they're moving as fast as they are going to move. And I hate these tiny, tiny wires because they don't push very well. We're not going to announce too much about that. We're just going to say in progress, partly because permits and stuff like that. Yeah, moving at the speed of government. Exactly. We got to wait on permitting, and we're not the only ones looking at the property, so we've got to start, yeah. It's negotiating a lease while trying to get the permitting done to see if you need to do anything or if it's going to be something that the landlord themselves have to work on. So, fun times coming in the near future. Okay, Bexy. Now, while Beans is out on her getting her tea, let's talk about Beans. Bean is a sweet bean. She has really, really cool cosplays as Disney princesses. All right. And we did go ahead and add twists to that CAN bus side of things. Always good to keep communication channels from cross-talking. We'll strip some of that away so it's not in the way. We'll strip that. I'm not going to put Wagos on this for now, so I don't know how I'll wind up doing this down the road. This cable is actually used for its intended purpose. But we're going to need positive side, negative side, positive, negative, CAN bus will come over here. Doesn't really matter which side it goes in. I do have my CAN bus jumper there. Tie this back up to get some of this out of the way. Yeah, the biggest thing is I may have to make my own cable, or I may have to take a standard 3-meter XT32+2 and then do Wagos to jumper everything, kind of like we're doing right now. we'll see how that all works out. But we are connected. We do have a CAN bus up because we've already been talking across it. We're going to plug in our tool head, the XT30 2+2, to the top of our tool head. We'll set that down right there. Once again, I'm not going to need that one or that one. I will need to try and see what kind of jumpers get set up there. And we should be good to power this back on. We should see no blue smoke. If we see blue smoke, you're going to see me cry. So negative to negative, positive to positive, CAN there. No blue smoke. We are getting lights down here on the tool head. So that's a positive. It's always good not to see blue smoke when you're doing electronics. Purple smoke? Okay. I never claimed to be a real technician, Evil Diesel. And I'm colorblind. Exactly. So blah. That's why I'm not a technician. Twiddle thumbs. Yeah. Oh, and give me 1 second. I will be right back. I just heard something loud downstairs, which is bad. Okay. We're all good. Mrs. Dragon just dropped her balls. We're all good. Hey, State Line Customs, how's it going? Welcome in. No, she did not drop mine. She dropped her balls. And for those of you that are asking, when you run AMSs and you're using spools that are like cardboard spools and they start to get light, large ball bearings, take these and put them into the inner part of the spool. So as these get light, they start getting pulled off of the rollers. So take your big steel ball bearing, put it in there. I think these are 1 inch, and it'll help add weight to it so it doesn't get pulled off the rollers. So steel ball bearings, 1 inch off of Amazon. It's just a little trick. That way, with them being ball bearings, they're going to stay down at the bottom of the spool all the time. They'll just sit there and roll around like little gerbils or squirrels or whatever. All right, where are we at? So we have the power side connected to the power. We have the CAN bus connected down here on the bottom. We should be able to check now if we've got a CAN bus connection. We're talking to the tool head or not. That'll have to be done over on this side, so we'll have to renew our session. Login is Pi, Raspberry. Okay, we're there. Close that for now so I don't make any mistakes. And let's come over and find Esoterical's page. Really need to just move that up to the top. Okay, so I've run through this stuff and we did everything up to, of course, a toolhead flashing. I don't know if we need to flash this or not. So what I'm going to do is just come right down here to the bottom where it will tell me how to query to get the UUID. We're just going to grab that and see if we can't pull a UUID. We should hopefully see two, maybe. One running clipper. One running clipper. And that one that's running clipper is our Manta M5P, so it's not seeing our toolhead board here. What we can do is see if they've got this darn thing set up to double click into bootloader mode. And if not, we may have to do some disassembly to get to the back of that board. Dang it. So think through it. This toolhead board should be pre-flashed. Hey, Killer Dragon, how's it going? Welcome on in. Always a good sign to see another dragon individual. So we've got our Bluestorm Terra toolhead assembled. And everything's plugged in. The issue that we are running into at the moment is the toolhead board is not being found via CAN bus. Let's see. Install catapult. This stuff should be there because we've already done that once. Install catapult. 732 base boards. This is a 2040 baseboard, I believe. This right here would be the Manta board. So we're not seeing an RPi 2040, so it's not in boot mode. Well, crud. All right, now where we're going to have a little bit of a fun time. Now, this is what I was sort of expecting. assembly, software firmware. Software firmware. We've done most of the software. We did the software. We got Beacon primarily installed. We'll need to do that stuff. Okay, what I may need to do now is go over to the Open Giga and see if they talk about reflashing the board. So for those of you that don't know, OrangeStorm Giga or OrangeStorm, this allows you to de-elegoo the board that comes with an OrangeStorm Giga and put mainline clipper or calico on it. What I'm trying to look at, because this has never been on a OrangeStorm Giga, right? This controller, I bought an OrangeStorm Giga toolhead, which you can get for $80. Pulled the fans and fan ducts and the toolhead board off, gave the rest to somebody else who needed to work on their OrangeStorm Giga, and you know, Bluestorm Terra took care of the rest here. So Clipper 012 install plus easy MCU flash. Updatable service packages, service removed, no Z-axis issues, work slicer profile, easy Wi-Fi, simplified, blah, 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 blah. So this looks like it might be a full image. Well, that was not helpful at all. Looks like a shell script that installs a bunch of stuff. Printer config files. Ay, ay, ay. Does Esoterical, by any chance, have an OrangeStorm Giga board in here? Does not. However, it is an RPi 2040. Boot mode. There's a CAN bus. Boot mode. Damn, this is going to be a pain, isn't it? All right. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We're going to have to figure out how to We need to figure out how to flash the toolhead board. Now, looking at this, updating stem 32 MCU. Oh, this is doing an RPi MCU, power monitor, crow's nest, image. Pico USB config. All right, we're going to have to research this unless somebody knows where to go to yeah, so we may have hit a spot where we're going to get stuck. Adapter board of the print head replacement. Is this? Yeah. Well, it shows you taking things out, plugging it all back in, doing all the wires back in. So how are you able to just plug this in without any firmware update? Like this just literally showed doing a full board swap and no firmware update. Anybody have a clue how you would be able to swap this and that board be recognized without any firmware update requirement? Because at the very least, the UUID or serial ID, something had to have changed. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. Update the firmware. Update firmware. Yeah, the only thing I can think of is see if the tutorial video has anything in here regarding software. Yep, no. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at some things. We're not going to be able to progress on this at this point. I'm going to have to do some research, maybe reach out to some people in the Discords and stuff to figure out how to flash this board, because we're going to have to flash this board or somehow get the ID, and I'm not seeing, LSUSB. I'm not seeing it under the CAN bus. I don't know what the CAN bus is set to by default, right? When I did CAN bus, I did CAN bus by esoterical, so I'm gonna need to flash this board one way or the other so I can talk to it. So yeah. That said, I think this is going to be a good stopping point for the time being. We've been going at it for almost 3 hours now, just tad over 3 hours. So we'll come back next time. I'll continue to work this on the side burner because, like I said, I just need to get these boards talking. And once I can get these boards talking, we'll be able to take the next step of doing the physical swap in the electronics case. And then we can get it put on the printer. And I think what we're going to do now is just baby steps. Try and get new board, new tool head, all working 24 volt, right? Once we get that, then we can make other decisions of whether we think it's necessary or needed to go to a 48 volt system, and do some more changes to this and basically just keep throwing more money at a printer or not. But I think this thing's been down for a while. We just need to get it up and running. So with that said, folks, like I said, I think we're going to call it quits for the day. Let me see who is up and available that we can raid into. And Diesel, I'm not sure if we need to get together and do anything today or not. Just let me know. We got Nathan Builds Things up doing some stuff. Lego and brick building. Stephen Poole, AFK. Sun Shop is up with some Smashbots Halloween Havoc. Yeah, not a lot going on right now on Twitch, or at least we got Ugly Moo as well. So what do you guys think? Painting, brick building, BattleBot stuff, which looks like they are not active at the moment. I think they were looking at the brackets. Nope, they're back up and getting ready to do another battle. So thank you, Bexy. Big heart to you. So yeah, like I said, board's getting power. I'm going to have to do some things, and unfortunately I might have to take the toolhead apart to be able to do what I need to get this into a DFU mode state or whatever to do a flash. So we'll work on that. But yeah, thank you everybody for being here. I see no takers, no comments, so I'm just going to pick. And yeah, let's go see things get smashed. We'll go over to Send Shop. We haven't gone over there in a little bit. And we'll see some battle robot stuff going on. So thank you everybody for being here. Hey, Hutch's Makerspace, welcome on in. Yeah, smashy things. So everybody please go with me as we head over to Send Shop and watch some BattleBots going on. I thank you all for being here today. I know we've been kind of jumping around between projects. That's really where my mind's at right now, is jumping around on various things as we work so many things in the background. But yeah, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me and going through configurations. To me, this is an interesting thing. I don't know about everybody else, but thanks for being here. You guys have a great day, have a great weekend, and enjoy your weekend on these starting to get cooler days. But yeah, have a great one all. Bye-bye. And for those of you that are watching over on YouTube, thank you for sticking around. I know this is a little bit longer, possibly a little bit more boring because of the software configuration side, but I do thank you for being here. If you like the builds that we do here on the channel, please be sure to like and subscribe down below. When you subscribe, please be sure to click the bell so you get notified of future videos and content. Speaking of future videos and content or other videos, YouTube's going to be suggesting one for you right here. Thank you and have a great day.